You know Zeus, you know Poseidon, Athena, Apollo, Hera, you know the gods of Olympus. But what if I told you that before any of them existed, before Mount Olympus was even a divine residence, there was another race of gods, older, larger, more powerful, and that the gods you know only exist because those older gods were defeated, imprisoned, and erased from history. Their name was the Titans, and for countless ages, they ruled the entire universe, every star, every sea, every mountain, every living thing. They were not myths. According to ancient Greek texts, they were the first divine dynasty, the original gods, and their story of absolute power, of betrayal, of a war that shook the foundations of creation itself is one of the greatest stories ever told. Stay until the end, because the fall of the Titans is not just a Greek myth. It echoes across cultures, across religions, across thousands of years of human storytelling. And the parallels to the biblical account of creation are more striking than most people ever realize. To understand the Titans, we need to go back to the very beginning, not just of the gods, but of existence itself. According to Hesiod's Theogony, written around 700 BC and our primary source for Greek creation mythology, in the beginning, there was only chaos, a vast, dark, formless void. Not chaos as in disorder, chaos as in the absence of everything, a primordial emptiness from which all things would eventually emerge. From chaos emerged the first primordial beings, Gaia, the earth, Tartarus, the deep abyss beneath the earth, Eros, the force of love and attraction, Erebus, darkness, and Nyx, the night. These were not gods in the traditional sense. They were the very fabric of existence, the universe itself taking conscious form. And from Gaia came the first true divine beings, Uranus, the sky, and from their union came the Titans. Uranus and Gaia had 12 children, 6 male and 6 female, and these were the Titans. Their names were Oceanus, Coeus, Crius, Hyperion, Iapetus, and Cronus among the males, Thea, Rhea, Themis, Mnemosyne, Phoebe, and Tethys among the females, each one a divine embodiment of a fundamental cosmic force. Hyperion was the Titan of light, Oceanus, the Titan of the world ocean, Mnemosyne, the Titan of memory, and Cronus, the youngest, the most cunning, and the most dangerous, was the Titan of time itself. But the Titans did not come to power peacefully. Their reign began with an act of violence so shocking that it became one of the most retold stories in all of Greek mythology. Uranus, their father, was a tyrant. He hated his children. Every time Gaia gave birth, Uranus pushed the children back into the earth, imprisoning them inside their own mother, refusing to let them see the light of the world. Gaia suffered, and eventually, she had enough. Gaia forged a great sickle from adamantine, the hardest substance in existence, and called her children to act. Only Cronus, the youngest and most ambitious, answered. He hid himself and waited. And when Uranus came to Gaia that night, Cronus struck, castrating his father with the sickle and casting him away from the earth forever. From the blood that fell into the sea, the goddess Aphrodite was born. And from that single act of violent rebellion, the age of the Titans began. Cronus became king of the Titans, and his reign was called the Golden Age, a time of perfect peace and abundance across the earth. Humans lived without suffering, without labor, without death. The world was paradise, but Cronus carried the seeds of his own destruction, because before Uranus fell, he delivered a prophecy that just as Cronus had overthrown his own father, one of his own children would one day overthrow him. Cronus chose the same solution his father had. When his wife Rhea gave birth to their children, Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, Poseidon, Cronus swallowed each one whole, alive, imprisoned not in the earth, but inside the body of their own father, unable to grow, unable to act, unable to threaten his reign. He had become the very tyrant he had destroyed. But Rhea refused to lose her sixth child. When Zeus was born, she wrapped a stone in swaddling clothes and handed it to Cronus. He swallowed it without question. And Rhea secretly sent the infant Zeus to the island of Crete, where he was hidden in a cave and raised by the nymphs, fed on honey and goat's milk, protected by divine guardians, growing in power and intelligence far from his father's knowledge. Zeus grew, and when the time came, he did not attack with force alone. He used cunning. With the help of the Titaness Metis, goddess of wisdom, he prepared a potion and slipped it into Cronus's drink. Cronus convulsed and vomited up his 5 swallowed children, Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon, fully grown, fully powerful, and ready for war. The prophecy had begun to unfold. What followed was called the Titanomachy, the War of the Titans, a conflict so vast, so devastating, that ancient texts describe it as shaking the entire universe. On one side, Zeus and his siblings, the Olympians, fighting from Mount Olympus. On the other, Cronus and most of the Titans fighting from Mount Olympus, and for 10 years, 10 full years, neither side could gain the upper hand. The turning point came when Zeus made a decision that would change the outcome of the war entirely. Beneath the earth, in the deepest pit of Tartarus, Cronus had imprisoned other beings his father Uranus had created. The Cyclopes and the Hecatoncheires, giants of terrifying power with 100 hands each. Zeus descended into Tartarus himself, broke their chains, and freed them. In gratitude, the Cyclopes forged Zeus his ultimate weapon, the Thunderbolt, and the Hecatoncheires joined the battle, hurling 300 boulders at the Titans simultaneously. The Titans fell. One by one they were overcome, not just defeated but shattered. Zeus cast them into Tartarus, the deepest pit of the underworld, and sealed it with bronze gates and walls. The Hecatoncheires stood guard. The age of the Titans was over. The age of the Olympians had begun. And Cronus, the king who had swallowed his own children to prevent this exact moment, found himself imprisoned in the very same darkness he had created for others. Now, here is where the story becomes extraordinary. Because the fall of the Titans is not just a Greek myth. It is part of a pattern that appears across virtually every ancient civilization on Earth. In Mesopotamian mythology, the god Marduk defeats the primordial goddess Tiamat and the older generation of gods to establish the current divine order. In Norse mythology, the Aesir gods defeat the primordial frost giants, Mna the Jotnar, who ruled before them. And in the biblical tradition, the angels who rebelled, a third of heaven's host, are cast down to make way for a new divine order. What does it mean that the same story, the overthrow of an older divine order by a newer one, appears in every ancient culture independently? Some scholars see it as a reflection of real historical memory, the displacement of older religious traditions by newer ones. Others see it as a universal psychological truth that every generation must eventually reckon with the power structures that created them. And still others see it as evidence of a shared primordial memory, a story so fundamental to human experience that it transcended cultural boundaries. The story of the Titans also carries a deeply personal warning. The same warning embedded in the story of Lucifer, in the story of every great fall. Cronus feared the prophecy so deeply that he swallowed his own children to prevent it. But in doing so, he guaranteed it. His obsession with holding power became the very instrument of his destruction. The ancient Greeks understood something that took modern psychology centuries to articulate: that the thing we fear most, when we try to control it through force alone, often becomes the thing that destroys us. The Titans were the gods before the gods. They ruled for ages uncountable, in a golden paradise that made the world that came after look pale by comparison. And yet, they fell. Not because they were weak, not because they were evil in any simple sense, but because the cycle of power, betrayal, and consequence is as old as existence itself. Every dynasty ends. Every age gives way to the next. The question the Titans leave us with is the same question Cronus could never answer. What will you do with the power you have been given? If this video made you see Greek mythology in a new way, subscribe to Myth and Scripture. Every week we explore the greatest stories of the ancient world, from the Bible, from mythology, and from the civilizations that shaped everything that came after. And if you want to go deeper into the world of the Titans, our next video covers the most famous Titan of all, Prometheus, the god who defied Zeus himself to give fire to humanity and paid a price that lasted an eternity. That video is up next. See you there!